The Philadelphia Eagles have officially made their move on the offensive side of the ball, and this decision already says a lot about how the organization is thinking going forward. After weeks of interviews, internal discussions, and careful evaluation, the team has settled on a new offensive coordinator, bringing in a coach who represents both a calculated risk and a clear philosophical shift. This is not a hire rooted in comfort or familiarity alone. It is a hire rooted in projection, belief, and the idea that the Eagles' offense can evolve without losing its identity. What immediately stands out is how deliberate this process was. The Eagles did not rush. They explored multiple paths, talked to coaches with very different backgrounds, and weighed experience against innovation. That patience matters, especially for a team that has lived in the championship conversation for years. When you are consistently winning, the hardest thing to do is change without breaking what already works. The Eagles appear confident that this move does exactly that. There is also a broader message being sent about flexibility. Since taking over, the head coach has largely been the architect of the offense, shaping its structure and tone by handing the keys to a new coordinator with fresh ideas. The staff is signaling a willingness to adapt to where the league is going, rather than clinging to what worked yesterday. In today's National Football League, offenses either evolve or fall behind, and the Eagles are choosing evolution. The background of the new coordinator adds to the intrigue. He is not someone who climbed the ladder by calling plays for a decade. Instead, his path has been shaped by proximity to elite offensive minds, both as a player and as a coach. Spending more than a decade in the league as a quarterback exposes you to countless systems, philosophies, and game plans. You see what works, what fails, and how different coaches communicate ideas to players. That type of education cannot be replicated in a classroom or a playbook. Those years around high-level offensive thinkers matter, because modern offenses are no longer about just calling plays. They are about sequencing, deception, spacing, and timing. They are about understanding how defenses adjust across for quarters and countering those adjustments in real time. The Eagles clearly believe that this coordinator has absorbed those lessons and is ready to apply them in a larger role. One of the most encouraging aspects of this hire is the emphasis on structure and process. This is not about gimmicks or flash for the sake of being trendy. It is about building an offense that has answers. Over the past few seasons, there have been moments when the Eagles' offense felt predictable, relying heavily on talent to win individual matchups. Talent can carry you far, but at the highest level, scheme is what separates good teams from champions. Player development is another key factor here. Quarterback growth does not happen by accident. It comes from detailed coaching, consistent messaging, and an understanding of how to tailor an offense to a player's strengths. The Eagles have watched how young quarterbacks elsewhere have taken steps forward under the right guidance, becoming more efficient, more confident, and more decisive. That development curve is something they want to replicate and sustain. There is also value in perspective. Being relatively close to his playing days gives this coordinator a strong feel for how offenses function in today's league. Defenses are faster, more versatile, and more aggressive than ever. Quarterbacks are asked to process quickly, move within the pocket, and throw with anticipation. An offensive mind that understands those demands from first-hand experience can design concepts that make life easier for the quarterback instead of harder. Of course, this move does not come without questions. Experience matters, especially when you are stepping into a role that carries immense pressure. Coordinating an offense in Philadelphia is not a quiet job. Expectations are high. The roster is veteran-heavy, and success is measured in championships, not moral victories. That environment can test even the most prepared coaches. Still, the Eagles are not strangers to betting on upside, time and again. This organization has trusted its evaluation process and identified coaches before the rest of the league caught up. They have done this by focusing on traits, intelligence, adaptability, and leadership rather than just resumes. This hire fits that pattern perfectly. Another important layer is trust from the top. Ownership and the front office do not make a move like this lightly. When a coordinator with limited play-calling experience is handed control of a championship-caliber offense, it means the internal interviews revealed something special. It means the vision, the communication, and the understanding of offensive football align with what the Eagles want to become. This also opens the door for a more modern offensive approach around the league. The most successful teams are blending physical run games with creative passing concepts. They are using motion, misdirection, and formation variety to dictate defensive looks. The Eagles have the personnel to do all of that, and the next step is unlocking it consistently on Sundays. What makes this situation especially compelling is the timing. The roster is still strong. The quarterback is in his prime. The offensive line, while facing questions, remains one of the most respected units in football. Wide receivers, tight ends, and backs give this offense flexibility and explosiveness. This is not a rebuild. It is a recalibration. The Eagles are clearly betting that this new voice can bring clarity, creativity, and cohesion to an offense that sometimes felt stuck between eras. They believe the ideas are there. The foundation is there, and now the challenge is blending everything into a system that stresses defenses every single week. The pressure will be immediate, but so will the opportunity. Because few coordinators step into a role with this much talent and this much organizational belief surrounding them as this new chapter begins. The spotlight naturally shifts to what this offense can realistically become once the season starts to take shape. The Eagles are not searching for reinvention just for the sake of change. They are searching for efficiency, balance, and a sense of rhythm that can hold up against the best defenses in the league. Over the last couple of seasons, there were stretches where drives stalled not because of lack of talent, but because of a lack of answers when defenses adjusted. That is the gap this hire is meant to close. One of the biggest expectations surrounding this new coordinator is the introduction of more layered concepts. Modern offenses thrive on forcing defenders to hesitate, even for half a second. That hesitation creates throwing windows, running lanes, and mismatches. The Eagles have often relied on physical dominance and individual brilliance, which works until it does not. The next step is creating situations where defenders are wrong no matter what choice they make. Quarterback usage will be central to this transformation. The Eagles' quarterback has already proven he can operate at an elite level when placed in the right structure. He has shown the ability to read defenses, deliver the ball with timing, and punish opponents with his legs when necessary. What has been missing at times is a system that consistently challenges him, while also supporting him. An offense does not have to be conservative to be efficient, and it does not have to be reckless to be aggressive. The best systems live in the space between those extremes. Another area that demands attention is route design and spacing. Too often, receivers have been asked to win in tight windows without the benefit of schematic help. Across the league, the most productive passing games are built on creating space through alignment, motion, and layered route combinations. When receivers are schemed open, quarterbacks play faster, confidence grows, and the entire offense gains momentum. The Eagles have the personnel to exploit this if the concepts are right. The running game also plays a critical role in how this offense evolves. At their best, the Eagles have been one of the most physical rushing teams in football. That identity cannot disappear. Instead, it needs to be enhanced. The run game should complement the passing attack, not exist separately from it. When defenses are forced to respect both, play action becomes lethal, and the offense dictates terms rather than reacting. What makes this challenge even more complex is the veteran nature of the roster. This is not a young team learning on the fly. These are experienced players with expectations, pride, and a deep understanding of what winning football looks like. Managing those personalities, earning trust, and communicating a clear vision will be just as important as drawing plays on a whiteboard. Respect in a locker room is earned through preparation and clarity, not volume. There is also the reality of pressure. Coaching in Philadelphia means every decision is magnified. Play calls will be questioned, adjustments scrutinized, and results dissected weekly. That environment is unforgiving, but it is also an opportunity. Coaches who succeed here often find their careers accelerated because they have proven they can thrive under intense scrutiny. From an organizational standpoint, this move aligns with a long-standing pattern. The Eagles have consistently identified coaches before they became household names. They have trusted their internal evaluations and resisted the urge to chase trends purely based on popularity. That confidence has been rewarded with sustained success over multiple eras. Across different rosters and coaching staffs, this hire also reflects belief in continuity at the top. The head coach remains the constant, providing stability while allowing new ideas to flow underneath him. That balance matters. When a head coach is secure in his role, he can afford to empower others rather than control everything himself. That empowerment often leads to innovation and growth. Looking around the league, it is clear that offensive football continues to evolve rapidly. Defenses are lighter, faster, and more versatile. They disguise coverage, bring pressure from unexpected angles, and force quarterbacks to process information instantly. The offenses that survive are the ones that stay ahead of those trends, not the ones reacting to them a season too late. For the Eagles, the hope is that this new coordinator brings a clear identity, not just a collection of plays, but a philosophy that shows up every week regardless of opponent. An offense that can win in different ways, adjust mid-game, and maintain efficiency even when conditions are not perfect. That level of consistency is what separates contenders from champions. There will be growing pains. That is unavoidable. New systems take time, especially when terminology, timing, and responsibilities change. The key will be whether progress is visible week to week. Are adjustments happening faster? Are players executing with confidence? Is the offense dictating matchups instead of chasing them? Ultimately, this move is about belief. Belief in teaching, belief in preparation, and belief that the right ideas can unlock even more from an already talented group. The Eagles are not standing still. They are pushing forward, trusting that calculated risks are necessary to stay at the top in a league designed for constant turnover. And as this offense begins to take shape, every snap will offer clues about how far this vision can go. What will define this next phase is how quickly theory turns into execution. Installing ideas during meetings and practice is one thing, but translating them into clean, decisive football on game day is where coordinators are truly measured. Early in the season, the focus will be on cohesion, timing, and eliminating hesitation. When an offense knows exactly what it wants to do and why it is doing it, everything speeds up. From the quarterback's footwork to the receivers breaking in and out of routes with conviction. Another layer to watch closely is adaptability. Defenses will study tendencies, search for patterns, and test the limits of any new system. The response to that pressure is critical. Successful coordinators are not stubborn. They understand when to lean into their core principles and when to pivot based on personnel availability, opponent strengths, and game flow. The ability to self-scout and self-correct throughout the season often determines whether an offense peaks in November or fades by January. There is also an opportunity here to redefine how opponents prepare for the Eagles. For years, defensive game plans have centered on stopping familiar concepts and forcing predictable situations. If this offense becomes more multiple and less rigid, preparation becomes more difficult. Defenses hesitate, communication breaks down, and small mistakes turn into explosive plays. That edge, even if subtle, can be the difference in tight games where margins are thin and every possession matters. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. Whispers have begun to circulate around the Eagles after the club acknowledged the loss of a key player, a development that has stirred uncertainty both inside the locker room and among supporters. While official statements have been cautious and sparse, the mere confirmation that an important figure will no longer be available has opened the door to intense speculation about the short and long-term impact on the team's ambitions. According to sources close to the situation, the absence goes beyond a simple adjustment in the lineup. The player in question has been widely regarded as a pillar of consistency, someone whose presence influenced not only tactical decisions, but also the emotional balance of the squad. Coaches are believed to be reassessing internal options, while the front office quietly evaluates whether the market could offer a temporary or permanent solution. None of these possibilities have been confirmed, but the uncertainty itself is already shaping conversations around the Eagles' future. Fans, meanwhile, are divided between concern and cautious optimism. Some fear that losing such a central figure could expose structural weaknesses that had been previously masked. Others see this moment as an opportunity for emerging talent to step forward and redefine the team's identity. Within training sessions, observers note a heightened intensity as players appear eager to prove that the Eagles can remain competitive despite the setback. There is also growing debate about what this loss signals beyond the field. Rumors suggest it could influence upcoming negotiations, strategic planning, and even the leadership hierarchy within the squad. Analysts point out that moments like this often reveal how resilient an organization truly is, testing its depth, adaptability, and vision. For now, the Eagles maintain a public stance of confidence, insisting that the group remains united and focused. Yet, as speculation continues to swirl, one thing is clear. The announcement has shifted the narrative. Whether this chapter becomes a story of struggle or reinvention will depend on how the Eagles respond to the void left behind. and how effectively they can transform uncertainty into motivation. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.